still dying about the fact that I thought that said bear last week.
You don't want a bear fight. Gas, boxing with a grizzly bear.
I mean,
I can copy your moves.
Who does?
Oh man, I've been listening to Macho Man Randy Savage rap album like nonstop since Thursday.
I love that album.
Be a man, Hogan.
Oh my god!
I didn't know that was a thing, and I'm actually.
Are you serious?
Myself.
Okay, so
there's a rap album.
Kick you in the butt and wash your mouth out with soap.
no, like in the
It's
early, like probably like 2001, 2002, somewhere in that time
Oh my
frame.
God.
He has a whole rap
Yeah.
CD.
It's probably from
no.
05?
Okay. So
Holy shit. Okay.
So the best part, I would say my favorite song on that whole entire album, like legit, like actually like good song, is probably the tribute to Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt Hennig, the
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect. That was in my head like all night last night. I could not get away from it.
Okay, this is what I'm doing after class. I'm listening to this fucking album. I want to bring it back to our first episode. The first listener question we had was if you could choose anyone living or dead to commentate your matches forever. I said Randy Savage. I stand by that shit. I didn't even know he had a rap album.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. I didn't know until a couple of years ago, and I was like, holy shit! Like how did I not know this? Like Randy Savage is by far like my favorite wrestler of all time. And
I didn't know until like last weekend, for what it's worth.
Oh man,
It's amazing.
They're side tangent. The first side tangent, actually the third. Real quick though, Sam, I think your gain down just a hair. It's distorting the hair just a little bit.
We don't want that.
Yeah. So I was in my senior year of high school, and we had a project that we had to make a presidential ad campaign, and it was right around the time that Randy Savage died. Like, imagine I was a senior in high school and Savage died. And at the end of it, we ran like this little like RMP dedicated to Randy Savage, and it had like a whole like the whole Macho Man thing like that. We got an A on the project just because of that. Like the teacher was just like, I don't even care how your project looked. Like this alone makes this worth it. Oh, it was great. Oh man, it was good times. Good times. There's a YouTube video somewhere of that. I have to find it. I'll post it if I can find it. Anyways, welcome everybody to the Rogue Agents podcast, where you are known to find us tangent. What's the plural of tangent? Is it tangentine? Tangent?
Tangi?
Is it just tangi? Or we are known to tangi. If it's not a verb, it is now. Anyways,
Tangent.
welcome. Tangential? Let's pick up words here. So we are known for bears and
Tangential?
Angela?
It's a good time though. We're all here having fun. All right. So welcome to the Rogue Agents podcast, and we are here to talk about trusting your gut. Start off first with some announcements. Good thanks to the patrons. We got Big Blake, Brad, B, Tarek Game. I need to. Grocko's like name in this announcement has been Grocko for like the past like I don't know since he became a patron, and I've never fixed it. So Grocko. It's just Rory, Clismo, Tim, Neek, Ronan, Around. That space threw me off. Oh man. All right. Sure Fox and Sure Thing. Don't forget, we're doing our first drawing pretty soon. We're still trying to figure out what we're gonna do exactly for how we're gonna do the drawing, but we'll let you guys know on the Patreon channel about how we're gonna handle that and what we're doing. But it is coming. We did not forget. We promise.
Yeah, we appreciate you folks.
Absolutely. So TTS League Season 8 is underway. I lost my game. How about you two?
Damn, you suck.
Yeah, I know. I'm terrible.
My game was 6-4. I took it.
Nice.
Good times.
Hyper Viper, what did you do?
I went 16-3 against a patron. Sorry, bud. It was a good game, though.
You're supposed to throw those games.
Yeah, I know.
He must have laid down for you. He's like, I don't.
No, it was really funny. Craig had made a Mono Cabal affiliated like bunch of Baoist list.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy was playing.
Oh,
and the reason that Nick was my opponent. The reason why Craig stopped playing that list because I played a game with Juggernaut into him, and Juggernaut like by himself defeats that entire list. Yeah. And that's why he's not playing that in the league, is because he's like, no, I can't just straight lose to Juggernaut. So yeah, and then Juggernaut like ate a Dark Rain activation, took 4 damage. He just tanked everything. Was fine. It was rough.
That's good. All right. Yeah, good times. Got a tournament shout out for Warfare Weekend at St. Louis. It's an LVO qualifier. It is November 5th through 7th. It's a ways out, but if anybody's looking for another event to go to and needs a reason to go to Missouri, at least I'm assuming it's St. Louis, Missouri, and not some other St. Louis. I could be very wrong. Geography was not my strong suit. Man, we're killing it today.
Assumptions.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, throw me off loop. I was on a good train and it just completely. Pew! All right. Sam, you got a review of challenge from last week of a list that's built to beat Shadowlands Daredevil. I'm not gonna lie. I saw a bunch of them that people just brought Shadowlands Daredevil to beat Shadowlands Daredevil.
Yeah, I don't love that, but it is funny.
It's so I thought that it was interesting that there were basically like 3 tacks that people took. One of them was Thanos Black Order, one of them was Shadowlands Daredevil, and the other one was X-Men. And I thought that was pretty interesting. There were a couple of outliers. So if we like cut the cream off the top, I think that that would leave the Avengers from Vance. I think Too Dangerous to Do This All Day looks pretty cool. I didn't want to pick one that had Mutant Madman in it because I think that Shadowlands Daredevil is pretty good at Mutant Madman. Yeah. But I think that this looked good. He's got Deadly Legacy virus cured, so who knows where that goes. I don't love the extracts, Vance, but I'm going to go with your roster for this Too Dangerous to Do This All Day. It was a cool one. Ooh. He's got Medusa, he's got Black Cat, he's got Steve Rogers.
He's got Sorcerer Supreme, too. Nothing that is like a huge thing outside of combo, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I should have just like posted my Season 8 list into there because it's was built in mind of the mirror.
Why doesn't everyone have... Did really no one paste the no reroll Web Warriors list?
I don't think so. I think this was probably the closest where no Medusa. Like it's got Medusa Cat, but it doesn't have Angela. Mine has Medusa Cat and Angela in my list. So
damn, bro.
Oof.
Yeah, give me that mirror. I got Cabal next week or this week rather, so it'll be fun. Goodbye, Dark Rain.
Are pairings up?
Yeah, pairings are up for East. I don't know about West.
Shit. Not for West. The last game finished a couple hours ago.
Okay.
I was taking a power nap on the couch.
That's the spirit. Power naps are always good. All right, let's move on to the main topic of the night, day, whatever time of, I guess, could be twilight for some of you people.
Shuffle. AKA trust your gut.
I cannot see out focus tonight. All right. So tonight's main topic tonight. I keep saying tonight. Whatever time it is you're listening to this main topic is going to be gut check or trusting your gut. Biggest concept with this is going to be you made the list, so you play your list. We're not saying that you can't listen to other people's advice. You can't like look for advice. We're saying that if you look at a list that you made and that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into, and you're playing this list, you probably put in the reps. You're taking it to a tournament, an event, whatever it is, and you think you have an idea, but you just don't follow your own list. Essentially, like I'm trying to like how to word this. I guess it's the easiest way is you just don't trust your gut. Like you listen to what everybody else is saying, even if it goes against what you're saying. Like you know your list. All right, topic over. Moving on. All right, Sam. What do you think about this? Like, what do you think people fall into traps of this, and why is it something that's worthwhile discussing?
I don't think we trust ourselves enough as people. Number one, I think that getting advice from a lot of different sources is a great way to kind of like crowdsource what a good plan might be. But nobody else is playing your roster, so you got to do that yourself. You're still in charge, and I think we both don't give ourselves enough credit, and we're also afraid of being wrong. And especially when you're playing like in an event, that's where all of those practice reps that we're recommending you get come into play, so that you've actually got some experience with what you're trying to accomplish on the table, so that you have some ground to fall back on and trust yourself. But I think that most of the time that I'm playing practice games, I'm almost just throwing stuff at the wall just to see what sticks, more so than I'm trying to do anything specific. And I don't want to do that on event day, but sometimes you still do. But even then, you're just kind of shooting from the gut, so shooting from the hip. So I think that you need to trust yourself and just understand that the plan that you think is the best plan might actually be the best plan. Give it a rip, see what happens.
All right. That's a wrap.
That's all.
We'll see you guys next week.
Damn.
I find it so hard to like think about how to talk about this one because it's like it's such a hard thing to be like, hey, listen to people, but don't listen to people at the same time.
Look, I've been saying this forever. Don't listen to podcasters. And I know that breaks a lot of people's brains because I'm on a podcast, but it's the truth. Like echo chamber, like for all the good of the internet, it does allow us to kind of sink into places where the people agree with us, and that can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
Like you obviously want people to disagree with you, and you want someone to poke holes in like your stuff. Like if you have a list that you think is really powerful, and someone's like, "Hey," like you show it to someone and say, "Hey, I really like your list. However, you will have a tough time with this," and you don't have a serious answer, that means you need to reconsider. However, if you think their answer to your list is so unlikely to come up and it still isn't like game breaking, it's fine. You don't need to counterbuild everything.
I think something that's really important when it comes to this is you're looking at your list and you know you have like this game coming up, like your next round, and you're just thinking, man, like what do I do here? What's my best call? It's like Sam said and Hyper is like we just gotta like the whole theme of this is like trusting your gut. Like you're the one that put in the work to making this list. You're the one that knows the ins and outs of it. And plus, a lot of times when you build a list, every single person, and this is like one thing that I hate about like net decking or net listing or whatever you want to call it, is I could take a list from Sam and I'm not going to play that list the same way that he plays it, regardless of how effective that list is. It could be the most OP list. It could be the worst list. Let's say he's having terrible experiences with it. He's like, man, this list just sucks. I don't know what's going on with it. And then I play it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is a great list. It's performing exceptionally well for me. I mean, that happens though. You hear people talk about it all the time. But it's like your play style. Your play style goes really big into like, especially with how you're developing a list. Like, let's say in a certain slot, I like Black Cat, but in that same slot, Sam likes. I don't know. Give me an example. Sam likes Sam.
There we go, long mover, free threat. Yeah.
So it all comes down to like you built the list a certain way for a reason, and I think the biggest thing to take away is not saying don't seek out that advice and don't not listen to people. Is that the right way to say that? Don't not listen to people, but being able to take what they say with a grain of salt and not letting it make the decisions for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's putting the models on the table. You're the one rolling the dice, and you're the one that is playing the game.
Yeah. On that note, like sometimes when you get advice from somebody else, that's what your opponent is going to think that you're going to do, right? Like you have just as good a chance as like the person that you talk to giving you really sound advice for how you're supposed to approach that matchup. But that could also just be what your opponent is thinking that's how you're going to approach this matchup. Yep. And so by having your own ideas and bringing your own unique slant to everything, you're actually doing more to further yourself, even if it's not the soundest strategy, if it's not what people expect. It's great. I mean, and going back to list construction, one of the things that I always try to do when I look at a list and I don't understand something in it, I'm not like, hey, this card's bad. Why are you running it? I literally just ask like, what's this like what does Medusa do in this roster for you? Like, what are you asking her to do? Like, she seems out of place. You got a bunch of, or you're overloaded on physical attacks or something where I just want to understand what somebody's bringing a piece to do more often than I want to, like, correct their design or something like that. Because we are all going to play different rosters differently, the same roster differently. Amen.
Like, I have a buddy who plays Black Cat as just a stagger bot, and it's super effective. And everyone else, or not everyone else, but a lot of folks are just like, nah, you sit in the corner, then you run in steel, then you run away again. And which one of those is really more effective? Probably depends on game to game, honestly, but they're both strong strategies.
You mentioned not countering, like not trying to counterattack everything. I think that for me, I just want to make sure that I'm not getting countered. More so than I want to actually counter
like
somebody
having
else.
answers for everything is different than having extremely strong options, if that makes sense, right? Like if you have such a powerful offense, be that in like, traditional offense of like aggressive, I can kill things, or like offense in the terms like I can just score out super aggressively. If those options are strong enough, you don't need to really worry about what your opponent's playing. You need to focus on your game. And I know that kind of sounds like, Magic the Gathering, just play your own little mini game while your opponent tries to disrupt it, and that's not what I mean. I just mean like focus on your strengths instead of your weaknesses. Like be a strong singular point instead of like overall strong. Yeah.
Good. I guess it's kind of a interesting topic to go over because it's a very straightforward. It's not very underlined, but it's definitely something that needs to be said. I'm honestly terrible at this. I think I have, me personally, I can own up to it. Is I have I don't really know what you would call it. Maybe I would say self confidence. I think I'm fine there, but maybe self assurance. I really don't know what you call it. Maybe a validation type of thing. Some sort of mental thing in my head where it's like I don't trust myself to make the right decisions sometimes when it comes to like the game or certain things. So a lot of times I'll go to people and be like I don't know. I think I've already hit up Sam and Omnis and a bunch of other people with my game coming up this next week. Of like,
You never hit me up, Dizzard?
I put it in the general chat. What are you talking about?
Oh, I didn't look, Dizzard.
It was in the crew chat. But like I literally like every single time I have a new matchup on like TTS League and I actually have the time to like dwell on the next game. Like it's like one of the worst things about TTS is you have like who knows how long to actually sit there and like evaluate your matchup. I almost think sometimes it hurts you more than it helps you. Some people probably think it's helped because you can practice that matchup over and over again if you really, really wanted to. But it almost gets to the point where you're like overanalyzing the matchup. And that's kind of like the routes that I end up going down is I start overanalyzing and I'm like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then I end up like biting on like an advice and I'm like, I get tunnel vision in on that. And I'm like, I'm going to play this on this game. I don't care what crisis it is. I don't care what the setup is. Like, I'm just going to go. And then it bites me in the ass because I just get so focused in on, like, this is what everybody else is saying is good to play with my list. And it's like just, I worked on making the list. Like, again, like, I'm give credit to Omnis where it's due. Like, Omnis worked on the list a lot with me. So he's just as much of a creator of this list as I am. And it just comes down to like I should have like I knew like I wanted to play this, but I ended up going a different route because a bunch of people were like, "No, you're good. Play this. This is good." And it's like I should have just trusted my gut and played because I even talked with the guy afterwards. Like, yeah, if you played that, I would have been absolutely just like screwed. Like it would not have been good for me because he was playing. It was Steve, Hulkbuster, and Voodoo. So instead of going Asgard, where I would have had Thor, who could throw Hulk and Hulkbuster into Steve and Voodoo, I went with Shadowlands Daredevil's side when I definitely should have just gone Asgard. But it's kind of like what spewed this topic was like, you made the list. Like it's okay to seek advice, but yeah, now I feel like I'm just going full circle.
So I mean that's an example of not following your own design intuition. Yeah. I think that I've been trying to build this Convocation Brotherhood roster since before the changes, and I finally found something that I kind of enjoyed. I don't know if I'll ever play it again, but it was a hoot. But I had to spend all day just trying to figure out some stuff on the fly the other day because I just didn't know like what to do. I didn't have the reps. I didn't have this. I had a bunch of theory craft in my head. I had experience with Convocation, and I understand how Brotherhood works. To a large extent, it's like I haven't played them, and I realized at one point that my 19 Brotherhood squad only had 5 tactics if I brought Brace, and then I wound up playing against Shadowlands Daredevil, and it was like, well, cool. I'll just bring it anyway. I'm not going to use it. So I think that even when something doesn't quite work out, it doesn't mean that it's time to give up on trusting your instincts. So that's my 2 cents again.
Yeah. Plus, it always comes back to the main concept of like we're playing a game. Let's have fun. Like you start asking 30 million people about what I should be doing for this game, you are definitely overanalyzing your game and should probably like slow down a little bit and like be like, are you actually gonna have fun with this game if you get to the point where you've like put more hours studying the matchup than you are going to be actually playing the game. Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
because what happens. Like, you'll see people that talk about like, I have this matchup coming up. I'm sure seen it happen in like the finals for TTS leagues. Like people like I think it's like where it comes back to saying like the TTS leagues almost like hurt you more than help you because you get into an over analysis of what's going on with your matchup. Like when
Hmm.
I've had times where I had a cuts game. I think my game against Travis, like Splooge DeLuca, I think Deaton, Mark, like all of us, like probably spent like countless hours just running practice reps of that game over and over and over again. And we found more things out about Travis's list than like just it was just insane. And it's like, wow, if this happens, I'm screwed. And then it came up to think about like I think it came up that like he didn't like realize that he could actually do certain things that we found within his list. We had like practiced his list so much that we found something that I think he didn't. I don't remember if he did or didn't know. Because I don't want to like start saying he didn't know something about his list. But I'm sure he did know, but I don't remember how the story goes exactly.
You out-teched yourself.
Yeah, basically. Like
Yeah.
that's just that over analysis. And you start getting to the point you're putting so much weight on one game that it's like, are you really just robbing yourself of the enjoyment of playing the game? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think that when it comes to something like the TTS League versus like a one-day event, you have a great advantage in the TTS leagues to basically learn the skill that you need to apply in minutes at a game day or a game night,
Yeah.
where you're just going to see the roster, you're going to see the table, and you've got to make some decisions, and you don't have very long to do it. Whereas with the TTS leagues, like you're learning that analysis skill, where you're like, okay, this is the roster, this is I don't know what the table's going to look like, but like let's just see what this kind of looks like, either head sim or on TTS or laying it out, however you do it, playing it with friends. So you don't have all that time when you're doing an IRL tournament. So it's good to the extent that it helps you develop that skill. But I agree, you have a ton of opportunity for analysis paralysis while you wait for those games, and I really like the trend that we've been seeing lately about people basically just playing their games as early in the week as possible.
Oh yeah,
So
like
as much as I like to see games on like Thursday and Friday, like Sunday, parents are out on Sunday and like people are playing their games. Like let's just get it out there and get it over with.
like this is the first time ever that I think the East or whatever old Central, whatever you want to call it, bracket has been done like before cutoff. Like most time where like there's like one or two games going past cutoff. This week games were done by yesterday. Like it's insane. Great gob.
Nice.
great job everybody. It's really enthusiastic to see all these games getting done. And seeing all the data come in. Like that's probably one of the coolest parts about the TTS leagues, just seeing all the data come in and the choices that people made. Because there's so many times, like I think this kind of comes down to where like the I guess anxiety could come in from is like, did you mess up at turn 0? Because that like in some games that could make or break your game.
You can plot all week and still mess up turn 0 though.
Yeah.
And turn 1. I've done it.
Turn 2 too.
Yeah.
But I just find it fascinating though. Like it's something that I've been like basically but just thinking on since like my game last week of like man, like if I just played Asgard, it would have gone a lot better for me if I just like trusted my gut with it. And like Sam said, like when you're at an in real life event, you have like a matter of like minutes to like make this decision. You don't have days. You have literally
Right.
minutes. Because if you wait days, so the event's over. Like you already
Yeah.
lost.
Those like the 90-minute rounds are real in this new challenger packet. Like I consider myself a pretty prompt player, but there's a big difference between 90 minutes and like an hour and 45.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Like
guys been
I've
using
been
the
used
clocks
to.
in your games so far? 'Cause I didn't know that was a
Yeah.
thing. I forgot. But my game was also like an hour long, so it didn't matter.
We didn't. I always set a 2-hour timer in TTS when I play, and I always tell my opponents that it's not because I expect us to be done in 2 hours. It's because I want a frame of reference that's just
Okay.
on the table that I can just see throughout the course of the game. Be like, all right, we got
That's smart, actually. I should do that.
because if you're not really worried about a round timer, like you can just like have that clock there, and everybody knows then, because nobody wants their games to take like 3, 4, 5 hours. Like,
That's true. Call back
Most
to that.
things-
I think it was season 6. Holy shit, those finals!
yeah, season 4 too. I mean,
I
it
fell
just,
asleep in chat 3 times, and the game was over.
That's good. That's what you want. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to like hit on for trusting your gut when it comes to your list, or do you want to talk about something?
you gotta
Just
shake
believe
off losses.
Believe in
You
yourself.
got- yeah, shake off losses and shake off close games. Like a win's a win, and like a loss, like you just got to move on from that. Especially like if, like, so we touched when we talked on the challenger rules about how like the 5 rounds for an event that probably only needed 4, and then like they're doing a cut for things that you probably didn't actually need a cut for. Like I think that's like if they're baking in a little bit of recovery or potential for recovery for people, I think that you really got to be able to shake off a loss, because like right now it's like worse than college football, where like if you lose you're not going to the national championship period. Like that's a lot of minis games have that feel to them, where you just gotta just win out every single game. So
Yeah.
I like that there's a little leeway for variance. I don't love like just being like, wow, 5 rounds every single time I go out and play. Okay,
Yeah, that's like the
I
worst
know,
thing
like,
ever.
playing.
It's
It's a
just
long day.
being like, man, I gotta win every single one of these, and I'm playing
Yeah.
a dice game where it could be of no fault of mine, and it's just the dice just
Yeah.
going bad. I hate blaming dice, but there are games like that where dice just absolutely just don't want you to win that day.
Yep.
All right. You had another topic that you wanted to go to if we got done with that early. What was it? I forgot what it was. I didn't pin it.
It's in here somewhere. I'll find it quick.
You sure about that? I do this for tournaments.
Oh yeah. What do you do for tournaments?
What do I do?
Because we've
for
talked about
tournaments?
like how to prepare for tournaments. We've talked about stuff like that. But like, what's your like? Do you have any like weird rituals, or what's your preferred kind of approach to a tournament day? Do you carpool? Do you drive by yourself? Do you crank out like Crisis Protocol podcasts? Do you like listen into Inner Sandman? Like, what's your Pantera?
Oh man, I love Pantera. Oh. Good music.
Well, I do have a little morning routine that I go through.
I hope it
In the
involves a
morning,
shower.
if my face is a little puffy, I'll put an ice pack on it while doing stomach crunches. I can do 1,000 now. After I remove the ice pack, I use a deep pore cleanser lotion. In the shower, use a water-activated gel cleanser. Then a honey almond body scrub. And then on the face, an exfoliating gel scrub. Then I apply an herb mint facial mask, which I leave on for 10 minutes while I prepare the rest of my routine. I always use an aftershave lotion with little to no alcohol, because alcohol dries out your face and makes you look older. Then moisturizer, then an anti-aging eye balm, followed by a final moisture protective lotion. And then I go play Crisis Protocol for 6 hours.
Was that a copy pasta?
No, I looked at the Patrick Bateman like morning routine from American Psycho.
I knew it sounded familiar.
So I was like sitting there. I was like this is either like a quote for something, like some sort of movie.
Right.
I'm not getting the reference, or it's. And then you kept going, and I'm like, this has to be a copy pasta of some kind.
I can do over
I
1,000.
can do 1,000 now. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just try and wake up on time and get to the event I'm supposed to get to. That's my biggest thing. And then I bring water everywhere, but I definitely bring water. If it's gonna be like a full day event, there won't be food around like at LVO or something. I'll bring like protein bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, tourney prep is basically just like getting your head in the game and making sure that you like have the physical components, so like food and water, coffee if you need it,
Comfy
to keep
shoes.
you. Yeah, comfy shoes. A nice cozy sweater for aftercare. When you get destroyed and you need someone to take care of you until you're still pretty. Yeah, just be prepared.
I bring my wife for that. Though.
Aw. That's so sweet.
Well, it's like,
actually.
but
Wow.
to be honest, like she actually NashCon last year, she went with me and basically just hung out and watched me play games all day.
Hey,
like-
behind every great man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, honestly.
No, I mean like it's just she's always just like, man, I don't understand. Like, does this normally happen? I'm like, no, this does not normally happen. You are the only person who does this, and I love you for it.
I brought my girlfriend at the time to a Crisis Protocol tournament one day.
Yeah.
And she like the first time she came, she didn't play and just sat in the corner like on her iPad all day, and she was like, that fucking sucked. And then she came again, and she brought a list and she played, and she was like, that was better, but I don't want to do that again. I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna push that at all. Like, you wanted to come, so I'm not gonna say you have to come. I can go be a fucking sweaty nerd on my own.
It was just funny because I was like, are you sure you want to go? It's be a room full of dudes that are sweating, and they're probably going to be stinky. And it's like NashCon was like very much like that. It was a room that was insanely hot, and everybody's sweating in the middle of August.
Yeah.
And then she's just sitting there with a smile on her face, and I'm just like, you're the best cheerleader.
What a treasure, for real.
That's what everybody needs. If you want a tournament prep, just go find yourself a wife that's going to go to a gaming.
Just get married. That's the Dizzard tip to being better at board games, is to get married.
Yeah. Man.
Works till you have kids.
So when that happens, I can go, and then she can bring the kids with her, and then she can just sit there and watch.
And she'll have something to do.
As she's sitting there, like, I know she's in the chat right now, because I see her talking, and I know she's just into the grimace on her face. Like, what the hell you think you're talking about? Oh man, but no. In all seriousness, I think for me, she's actually talking. I was thinking the men would judge me and think I was weird standing there watching. And I was like, no, everybody there probably thinks it's super cool that you're here and actually watching this. Here's your proof.
What is this alien creature? I've never seen one of these before.
Oh man,
they're more afraid of you than you are of them.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. I like to carpool to events whenever possible, because the conversation to or from is almost always like some of the highlights of the day, right? I've gone to enough like larger like regional event kind of things where like you see people that you haven't seen in a year, in 6 months, and it's really cool to catch up with them. But having a travel group is really cool too. And so I mean the Macho Man Randy Savage and they're more afraid of you than you are of them were both from the car ride to my last event. So I gotta give a shout out to Jake for that, because both of those are just like ripped straight out of his mouth. So carpool groups are great, and I think other than that, I think what I meant for this topic was more like, how do you approach like your games, like game day, getting your head straight and stuff. But
oh man,
I mean, I think my response is still applicable. If you could do all that stuff in the morning, probably ready for it.
If you can do 1,000 crunches before you go to a convention and still be able to stand up during the convention, then
dude. You're killing it.
You're ready.
Physical activity is good. I mean, if you can get like some action like early in the morning before you have to hit the road or whatever.
Not like my local event, because that starts at like 11. But LVO would be impossible. But for my local event, starts at 11. I can go to the gym. I can go do some yoga or some shit before I have to go. As long as I get my ass out of bed, which isn't always going to happen. Right. But yeah,
I think I don't know. I think the biggest is like eat something. Like anything. Don't go.
Anything.
Don't go on an empty stomach. That's terrible.
Don't eat a Korova Black Bar, no matter what Dizzard tells you. Do not eat that before going to a convention.
A what?
A Korova Black Bar. I don't know if they still make those, but like when I was in high school, they were 1,000 milligram edibles. So like the legal limit in California now, yeah, the legal limit for edibles in California now that everything's like recreational legal is 100. So it was a little like, because they would put in way more than they were supposed to. It was like 13 times that.
That's insane.
It was just like, it was a black hole basically. There were these brownies. They tasted like shit. It was a good time.
I don't know what's wrong with me today. Must be my dice.
My dice are actually after me today. I saw them chasing me down the road.
When they told me my crits didn't explode, I just didn't understand.
But today my crits are actually literally exploding. Oh man, this is a fun one. All right, let's get back on topic a little bit here. I think other than like
So,
actually eating like some like decent food is like I think not only like the physical aspect but the mental aspect of it too. Like Sam was saying earlier, like don't let the game get you down or anything like that. Like separate the games. You have one bad game, just put it behind you. It didn't happen. Like dice be dice. Misplays happen. Everybody makes them. Just don't let it get to you. And if you have a bad habit, I think this is something that I used to be absolutely terrible with. Is I voice my intent 3 turns in advance. It's good to voice your intent, but it's not a great thing to voice your plan for the entire round. Like I never really realized that I did it that much until like my wife was like, "Do you know that like you sit there and you literally tell them what you're going to be doing, and then you're going to tell them exactly what you're going to do after what they do, and you tell them why they shouldn't do what they're about to do." And then they change their plan, and then you lose.
You're a helpful man. You're helpful.
And I'm like, I can't
Sure
help
thing.
it.
last season, I watched one of Sure Things games, and his opponent was like ready to concede. He was like, man, you've got this. There's no way I can come back. I can't do anything about this."
Sure
And he was like, no, dude, like, don't worry about it. Like, just like try this, and then come at me over here, and I don't think I can stop you. And sure as shit, he couldn't.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go through and edit Sam's laugh a lot on this one.
What do you mean?
Oh,
These are wholesome
spikes
laughter.
so hard. This is a fun episode.
It's supposed to spike.
This is more of a chill episode than last week was, and last week was intentionally a chill episode.
As far as tournament games go, like something I had to really start doing, especially at LVO, because LVO after day 2, I realized, oh shit, I'm actually in like top 16 or whatever. It was like my first major tournament ever. I had to sit myself down and be like, all right, remember that you're not fucking God or whatever, right? Like remember that like every person here is a good player. Take everyone seriously. Don't just assume that you know better than someone else. Treat everyone, no matter who they are, as like a worthy opponent. Never like give a leg up. Like if you're at a tournament, if you're playing with your buddies and like you're teaching someone the game, obviously like give a little bit of leeway. But if you're playing a tournament, if the other person's there and they're trying to win just as badly as you are, fucking give it to them. But also like don't assume that you know better or you're infallible. Like try and be on your A game as much as you can the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody says that they're a newer player, like if you're at an event like LVO and you're trying to get the cuts, like I don't really know how to say it without
that noob.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it without sounding like a complete ass. But it's
not like
if you're going for cuts and you're going for a high-end tournament like LVO, or you drove to an event, it's just like, sorry man, you're a new player, I got to do this. Like
I think really glad you're here.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you been playing? Who's your favorite character?
I have a friend who's newer to the game who I drove down to an LVO IS in like miles south of where I live. And we almost got matched up round 1 before the person doing the rounds was like realized like, oh, literally everyone's playing their local buddy, so I'm gonna switch it up again. Buddy. But when they announced the pairing, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but you got to learn from this because I'm not like I wasn't there to play nice. I will play with you casually as much as you want whenever I have time, but not here. Sorry.
No. What was it when we talked about the tournaments before? Like, know what you're coming there for, right? So if you're coming to have fun, then
come correct.
Great. If you're coming to wreck, then wreck, man.
It don't matter. That being said, don't be a dick about it. But,
of course.
But yeah, but at least like if someone says like, "Hey, I'm a new player," be like, "Oh, how long you been playing?" Like, "Oh, this is my first game." Oh, I don't think I've never come across that one, but I have come across like I've only been playing for a couple weeks. I just picked the game up. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. And I'll be like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna go easy on you because this is a tournament and I'm here to try and see how far I can take this list. And most of the time, people are very understanding and they're just like, yeah, man, no, I get it. It's cool. I'm just here for games and having fun. Like, all right, I just wanted to warn you that this might be brutal.
Yeah, I'm glad that like field dressing was an offender on that. So was the herb.
Yeah.
Like any sort of like herb scoring was always like super feels bad in those situations because you're like, oh, right. So I'm just glad I don't have to deal with that stuff anymore.
Field dressing was a mistake. I'll say it as many times as I need to. It's a card that we were all abusing for years now, and none of us can really say that's not true. And if like you really feel like you lost an integral part of your game plan, I hate to break it to you, but you're being a little bit abusive. And I'm in that party too. That card's insane. It lets you like and Barncat knows what I'm talking about with this one. When you field dressing an Iron Fist and they walk up and Falcon Punch someone, that's the most feel bad shit in this game. It's just like there's almost nothing you can do to prevent it besides like playing on eggshells the entire game.
Yeah. Just wait till we get a Night Nurse in the game and she's just field dressing on a stick.
Who?
Night Nurse.
No, she'll be better Wong or something.
I don't know, man. Like I could see Night Nurse totally having a field dressing, but what would be really cool is if like she field dressed you, but she was removed from the table when she did it.
All right, what are you talking about?
What?
The Night Nurse.
You want a character who? And I know the character, but you want a character who is suicides to bring back someone with field dressing?
Yeah, it'd be worth
I mean,
it.
at least that
it.
interaction would be the character has to activate to do so. So that wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I think it's a way to fix it, but that way they're able to actually get in, like, because in my opinion, Night Nurse should be able to do something like that. Like, should be able to bring somebody back from being like dazed. That's what she does. I think that's probably the only way to actually do it without breaking the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's more like Deal with the Devil than
Yeah.
anything else. It's it's the character you're sacrificing that's inflexible instead of the character that's coming back.
It was just an interesting thought I had. I was like, field dressing is gone, but wait till we get Night Nurse, because I would be very, I don't know, I could see them doing it. I could see them absolutely bringing some sort of field dressing mechanic with Night Nurse.
I've been a fan of Night Nurse ever since I started playing Marvel Strike Force and then stopped playing Marvel Strike Force. I still think she's cool.
That game's neat. Like,
I mean, like, if it wasn't so, like, you know, what it is,
win.
where it's just like, if you don't spend money, you don't win.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. But it is that. I played it a lot in college. I don't play it at all anymore, but I have fond memories.
Yeah. Anyways, back to what else can you do to prepare for a tournament?
Oh, we're still on this?
Man.
Prepare for your games.
Change our name to the Tangent Podcast.
I don't know. I feel like
Rogue Tangents Podcast.
Do you have anything else?
I don't know. I really know it's like if you could add anything. I think pretty much covered it. Like eat, like physical, mental. I guess if you're spiritual, do whatever you got to do for that aspect.
Yeah, tell somebody you love them.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
I guess the other side of this coin is like, if you have a tournament day and you're not having the day that you came there to have, I think that you still have some flexibility to, you know, what you can do. Like, number one, like, if you weren't carpooling and you don't care what you do that day, like, you can just drop and go home.
Just leave,
like,
yeah.
If that's your thing. Like, I wouldn't necessarily encourage that.
No,
but I know that, like,
good snack and go home.
So for like the guy that is, you know, somewhat new and he shows up and he just kind of gets stomped, or if you brought something and your dice went sour or your idea didn't pan out like you thought it would, like you've still got an opportunity, right? You've still got, you know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 games that you can play over the course of the day and just get experimental, right? So like if you're somebody that only gets to play like maybe 1 game a week or, you know, a couple games a month, except for when you go out to an event, and then that's like your big day out and you get like, you know, 3, 4, 5 games in, like you can still make the most out of that day. Just get weird with it.
Okay,
Put
I
Electro on the table.
I got one here for you. Another one for newer people is if you are going, and again, to get into a situation where you just got absolutely stomped and it makes you not want to play the game anymore, talk to your opponent about it. Be like, how could I have seen this coming to prevent from this happening to me again in the future? Like, what do you, right? Learn from your game. Take the loss and learn from it essentially. Like, and then also take the whole entire experience as like a learning experience, especially if you are newer, because that's huge. Like you're going to an event. I know people who, I think Guild Ball was one of those games for me where it's like my first time playing Guild Ball was at an event and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Got absolutely wrecked, but I learned so much that day. So like use like they're actually like events are actually great ways to learn the game because it's like you're getting a lot of games in person in a short amount of time. So don't be afraid. That's another thing too. Like don't be afraid if you're a newer player. Don't be like we're saying get stomped and all that, but like events are just fun. Don't be afraid to go to an event and play it because, you know, like again, it's gonna be a learning experience. You meet people, get that social experience going on and see how the events actually shake up for Marvel. We're
Talk
nice
to
guys.
everybody.
Yeah, make new friends.
Yeah.
Find some new sparring partners. It's a good time.
Yeah. I think that's gonna cover it. Any last minute thoughts? Closing thoughts?
Not for me.
Okay, we're not noob stompers. I promise. Any...
No, like even in
I wanna
games where I
teach you
do
how to
very
play.
well, I always like after the game is over, I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about this? Like, do you have a minute? We can chat. We can talk about like what went wrong or what went
Yeah.
good for me. Blah blah blah. Like what you could have done differently. I love having those conversations because like it gives me an opportunity to realize what I could have done differently and make me a better player. It's like the only loss that's truly a loss is where you learn nothing.
Yeah. I want to wrap back around though. Something that Hyper said earlier. I completely spaced on it. I had a thought and I completely forgot. You mentioned something about like don't like underestimate people. Basically, you have an opponent who this comes back to like new people too. Is you have someone who says they're new and you just like, oh, this is a new guy. I'm gonna like take it easy on them. Next thing you know, they're pulling out the 1-2 punch and like you're just dead. All your characters KO'd round 3, and you're just like, I don't even know what happened. Don't underestimate people. Like, no matter who they are or what lists they're bringing, like maybe they got some crazy tech that you just have not seen. Especially if you've only seen like TTS stuff, and then you go to like the real life meta, and it's like it's a completely different animal. I think Infamous talks about this in a lot of their stuff, where they say like in real life, a lot of times is like super kill and attrition, where TTS for the longest time has been like nothing but like scenario based. Like a majority of people playing are like super focused in on the scenario, and attrition is like secondhand. When they were talking about how attrition is like number one priority. How am I going to kill you the fastest? And scenarios is kind of there. If you go and take like a scenario focused list, and they actually have a list that can stop you from scoring, you're gonna get stomped. Like so. Like be aware that like the game is different wherever you go. People play it differently. So yeah, don't underestimate people. Don't think you got the game in the bag. Don't think you're hot shit. Be humble. I think that's probably the biggest thing too. Be humble. Trust your gut and be humble.
If somebody says they're new, like I always just ask them, like, "Oh, how did you get into minis gamings then?" Because, like, great, I'm new to I'm new to Crisis Protocol, but I'm a 8-time War Machine world champion. I'm super scared of that guy,
Oh, also, on that note, fear no one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like fear is, like, and I said this about Black Order a lot. Like, if you're scared of something, you're probably gonna lose to it because you're not gonna like want to deal with it. Fear nothing. Like nothing in this game should be scary. You should all like I'm not and again this isn't about like having counters to everything, but like I truly believe that nothing in this game is like unbeatable, right? Like if something's a hard matchup, like if you're playing into like double Hulk and you have Web Warriors and you're on demons downtown, you're just like, what am I gonna do here? Yeah, that's tough, but like just think of it like try and use your tool set to beat theirs. Like don't be afraid of things. Don't let fear take over. Try and figure out the puzzle.
Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to sales pitch of the week. Hyper Viper, what you got?
Oh, we're talking about Luke Cage.
All right.
I know Luke Cage is people are finally starting to figure out that he's like good. I think Luke Cage is nuts. He like if you need a defensive character, he is one of the tankiest characters in this game at 3 threat. He's a 11 health total, 4/3/3 with Inbone. And he has his too dangerous to ignore, his reverse bodyguard. He has flat out one of the best character cards in the entire game, Heroes for Hire. He is just you can Heroes for Hire yourself, just like you can lethal protect to yourself. So while it's your opponent's turn and they are like, I'm gonna double attack Luke Cage. On that second attack, you Heroes for Hire them off a point, and they're just like, I didn't know you could do that. I'm sad now, because I'm off this point, and it was my turn, but you're Luke Cage, and he's so cool that I'm no longer on this point. He's just the best. I've one-rounded Corvuses, obviously with super hot dice, where you just double tap and throw a card at him. He's got a terrain throw. If you get lucky with his builder, you can stagger people randomly. His spender has automatic effects and can throw potentially. And he's just a brick house. Luke Cage, when I was playing Sam, was like the absolute backbone of my team. I would play him every single game. At LVO, I literally played him every single game. Like Steve or Sam, he works with both. He's got superpowers and he's a tanky man. Play Luke Cage. That's my elevator pitch. It doesn't matter if he's affiliated. If you just need a brick who doesn't bend, play Luke Cage.
Why would a brick bend?
Exactly. Because maybe it's a bad brick. But he's not a bad brick. He's a
man.
great brick.
He's a cage.
He's the brickiest.
All right. Hobby corner. Do you guys have your goals set for July? I guess we could do the shame list real quick. Sam, are you ready?
All right, Shameless has been prepared. We missed this last week because we got carried away with the league stuff, but I did put it together. We're still working out some of the kinks. So if you don't get shamed and you should have, well, I'm sorry I missed you. Maybe I'll shame myself first for missing maybe some people who need to be shamed. But if you're getting shamed,
how many times can you say shame in 3 seconds?
a lot.
Shame speedrun.
And if you're getting shamed and you actually completed your goal, feel free to defend yourself and point me to where you posted your stuff. Boom, TTFN, shame. No proof pick, man. Dizzard, did you try?
No, I completely got caught up in
Shame.
live. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I did Gambit, but I forgot about Rogue and
right.
building characters. So I did half of the gold.
All right. Gillis, Gronko, Kenny, SR Walker. SR Walker maybe gets a pass. I just couldn't find your Ant-Man pick. I saw your Wasp. Looks great, but I didn't see Ant-Man. So shame for making your picture hard to find or for not painting. I didn't see Shirting's Baby Buster. Everything else looks gorgeous, but shame, no Baby Buster. Kenny, I don't even think Kenny tried. He submitted a goal and then did nothing. Gronko went on vacation. Congratulations. Shame. No goals.
Shame.
Brad, Myth, Big Positive Geek, Cody 1307, Dakota, Nishi Juan GG or Nixie Juan GG. One Absolute, Matt. I was surprised by this, buddy. You're an amazing painter. You didn't do anything last month? Shadow Marvel, Thoris is still in home remodeling hell. And then Hyper Viper, no goals. These are our no goals shame. Come on, guys. I don't know. We got to put something in here. If you don't do something for 3 months, you're going to get kicked out of the accountability club because you're obviously not accountable.
Damn. Actually, that's motivating.
You can't be part of the club.
Get your stuff in. Get your stuff in for July. My July stuff is Heimdall and Scourge.
Cool.
Scourge?
I think
Scourge the
I think
Executioner.
my July stuff is probably to finish the stuff I didn't do in June.
Oh, yeah, and Clea. Clea's on that list, too. She's the one that's going to
Yeah.
get me in trouble because they keep forgetting.
I actually did a good thing today. I organized and cleaned my office for once. My painting desk is so clean. So I actually feel like I want to
I'm
paint
back.
because it's actually clean.
Back.
I think that's something that I just need to do is just clean my painting desk when I'm done painting because then I actually want to paint. Because if it's dirty and I look at it, I'm I don't really feel like dealing with that right now. I don't want to paint now.
Right.
But I'll probably end up doing Rogue again or doing her because I didn't do it last month. And if I can actually get a hold of Heimdall and Scourge, I really want to paint Heimdall because the Rainbow Bridge looks pretty cool. But I don't have my goal in yet. We'll get it taken care of. Yeah, wife says finally in the chat because she's been telling me for the last since we moved in here to you should really do that cabinet and finish it. And because we were talking about doing the whole comic book wrap I was talking about, and
Yeah.
just kept putting it off, and today I was like, I'm gonna organize my cabinet for once. We've been here since October.
I was the same. I think it was almost 8 months after we moved into this place that I was like, I guess I can finally put my my office and my man cave together. Let's do this.
Yeah. Hyper, do you got any ideas of what you want to do for July?
I need to build Shadowlands, so that's the first thing on my list
I
right
need
now.
to buy Shadowlands.
Oh yeah, okay, we're in the same boat then. I really want to see the Bog Taiga, and I want to see the bear, and to a lesser extent, sorry, but I want to see Red Guardian. But as far as painting goes, I've got 3 of the Guardians painted. I should probably try and do this. You know what? I'm gonna paint Angela because my Angela's missing an arm, and I've known for a while that I was gonna paint her arm as having bandages and a little bit of battle damage on her. So I'll do that. That's what I'll do for July. Someone remind me.
Did you guys see my little note in here that I says We're still trying to find better ways to do this, so bear with us.
I don't know where you did that. I like the bear joke, but you mean you said it, you didn't type it. I was looking in Discord.
Well, I did type it, but it's in our show notes. Because we're trying to figure out a better way to do it, so I was trying to be funny and hopefully it would cue you
I'm
with your
so
bear
bad
fact.
at getting jokes.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We talked about this last week. You're bad with jokes, but Sam got it 'cause he started laughing
I
immediately.
swear, in real life, I'm okay at it, but like in this podcast, like without your facial cues and seeing people smile, I'm really dumb. Y'all
fair.
want a bear fact?
Yeah, what's
We
the
can
bear
get a
fact? What's the bear fact?
Oh, what's another good bear fact? We talked about how they eat moose. Bear claws are actually not very sharp. However, the big lump you see on bears' backs when they're like walking around is actually pure muscle, which is how they like push over trees and shit. So even though those claws are super dull, they can cut through a lot of stuff just through pure brute force.
So Ursa Major's gonna have a 10-die spender. Got it.
Yeah, and it's not gonna have pierce; it's gonna have wild throw. Or
You heard it
both.
here. Hebinator, need a submit form for the done stuff in the Discord. I think it's pinned, isn't it?
I'm not sure that there's one for July yet.
Oh, okay. Not yet.
Cranking
Soon.
it out too fast, man.
Soon.
Yeah, and I've gotten a complaint that the July goal still says June. I got to check that out when we're done.
Okay. Next challenge of the week. This is something that I've kind of like been interesting. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about Ant-Man and Wasp lately. I want to see a list that's using Ant-Man, Wasp, and Pym particles. Show me what you got.
The resurgence.
Yeah, because I've actually been looking at Wasp and Ant-Man quite a bit recently. I'm like, wow, how are these characters just never used? Like, they're actually really solid. Like, they're like one part for me is like the 2 energy defense, but that's really negligible when they have like rerolls when they're tiny.
Full rerolls.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
their one like point on me is like super negligible. Like, they're actually really, really good. Like, who else has a builder that you don't gain power off of? Like, that's insane.
Yeah, the roughest thing for those characters is the fact that they drop objectives. Everything
Yeah.
else on their card is super stellar. So, like on a researcher or something where it's like a single expect, you're not gonna put it on them anyway. I
Yeah.
think they rule. They're just slightly more situational than basically everyone else. I had a lot of fun running Wasp and A Force back when that was like my main affiliation.
Well, I feel like if you ran like mission objective with them, I think it'd be decent. But
Oh, for sure. It's just like, so many other 3 threats are doing the same thing. You don't have to burn mission objective that quickly. It's just when they die.
yeah. Well, the issue with this list is going to be like people have to use Ant-Man and Wasp, not one or the other. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of times you probably want one, not both. But anyways, moving on.
Wasp is so good. I think Wasp is the one if you pick
I think
one. But
I think
I'll stop.
I think Wasp is better. Like the lawn movement and the no power generation. Get out of here.
Size
Get
3
outta here.
throw. Yeah, she
Ant-Man.
rules.
Ant-Man.
He's super mobile.
Range 3
what's-
plays for nothing.
What's super funny? Unless you got
6
Loki.
die builder.
What's super funny though is like
Fair.
like you'd think that Wasp would be the one doing the objectives, but she's the one that's like zipping around and punching people. Ant-Man's the one that does everything. Like, I mean, I guess neither of them are doing objectives, but I would like you'd imagine
Neither
like
of them are
Wasp.
objective holders. Yeah.
Yeah, you just imagine Wasp being an objective person. I love the fact that you don't gain power off of her builder. Like, it's just super interesting.
Did you ever watch Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon?
No.
Okay, well you should for one, and for two, Wasp in that show is just flying around zapping people. So it always
Good.
made sense to me.
All right, fair enough. All right, so yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp using Pym particles. Show me what you got. I hope somebody builds an X-Force one because I'm actually looking at Wasp and X-Force for
Hell
my
yeah,
next stuff. So let's see it. Let's see what you guys got. All right,
We're
Are
taking back up.
you switching to X-Force at the midseason then?
I don't want to talk about it. Anyways,
right.
honestly though, I am thinking about it. I really kind of want to give this list like the run, like really do it because I like really debated on taking this list to Nova, but I really felt bad that nobody took X-Force, and it makes me want to play them.
Yeah.
I don't think you're
Yeah.
alone there. I think because that's never happened really.
Yeah,
There's going to be like 30 X-Force players after
I
the,
know.
the roster
Dude,
swap.
honestly,
You're not alone.
all the cool kids are playing X-Force after the roster swap.
yeah. I don't know, but if I can figure out how to make Wasp work really well with X-Force, I might do because I have some ideas going in my head. That might actually be pretty interesting. Also, Winter Guard. I'm like Winter Force is like something I've been like thinking about for a while. Like Dynamo, like literally having 2 cables, one of them being a beam, one being a sniper, is pretty interesting to me. So, anyways,
Honestly, bless Dynamo or bless Winter Guard just for making all of the cross affiliation names super easy.
I know, right?
Winter blank.
Winter Avengers.
Exactly. And that's just them already. It's what they are.
Winter.
It's just the Russian ripoff Avengers.
Winter Order.
Winter Order.
All right.
Winter Syndicate. Crime Winter.
Crime Guard.
Winter Webs.
Oh. Also, I appreciate anybody who uses
Winterhood.
Winterhood. Winterhood.
Anybody who
Juggernaut fits in with them.
Anybody
Sorry, go
who uses like fun names when they build their lists for challenge of the week, I appreciate you, because that's like one of my favorite parts when building a list is what's gonna be my goofy name for it. Because I love Shadow Guard. I love saying Shadow Guard. It's super cool. Or when I do like something with X Force, it's just I love the neat names that people come up with. I'm super simple. I just combine the names. Other people come up here with like, yeah, I'm too difficult to ignore.
Yeah, you know who's like really good about those and really surprising is Ulysses.
Yeah, even though it's the same list every single time.
Yeah, that's why it's funny. It's just like this guy's really committed in Corvus Dice We Trust. No matter, he just like puts in the like 2 suggestions we make every week and has the same list. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting 100% to be the Black Order list from Ulysses at Ant-Man, Wasp, and Pin Particles. Like, it's so easy for him.
That sounds dope.
All right. Anyways, listener questions.
Only works at 20.
Oh man, we got one from Draz. It says, not technically a question, but can you sell me on Sabertooth? And I don't remember if we did a Sabertooth sales pitch week, so I said, sure, let's do this. Sabertooth, number 1. In affiliation on Brotherhood, I think it's actually rather rough. It might be better now because exceptional healing is kind of super money. But look at him as like an objective bully. He's an objective carrier, but he's a bully at the same time. So Sabertooth is terrible at going into other 4 threats, 5 threats, 6 threats plus. Like 4 plus, he's like not that great. Where he is amazing is picking on the little guys. And like if you think about Sabertooth as a character in the comics and the shows and the movies, that's what he does. He picks on the little guys. And that's exactly how his character should be played in MCP. Use him to pick on the 3 threats, pick on the 2 threats, take their objective, and then just run out of town. He doesn't want to be like caught in a fight because like he can get spiked because he's only 3/3/3. But he does have exceptional, and he does have healing factor 1. But that's like my biggest thing I tell people is like look at Sabertooth like a bully and play him that way, and your games with him will be substantially better.
He's built like a hunter, and that's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long move, size 3, aggressive counterattack.
He has a card that makes him pounce.
Yeah, and Weapon X
optimal,
is.
but it's good.
I mean, it's good now because you have room to take it. Like,
Yeah.
I would take Weapon X these days, to be honest. Like, if I was playing Wolverine
Yeah,
or
after like
Sabertooth,
I had an opponent at my local who was like super new, and we were just playing for funsies. But I lit up Wolverine super hard round 1, and then he had priority. So round 2, he fastball special Wolverine in, and I had to brace it, otherwise I would die. And then he used his spender, to do damage and throw someone.
yeah.
And then after he did that, he struck someone else to daze him. I think he struck Bucky to daze him, and then he Weapon X'd into Zemo, and he killed Bucky and Zemo in 1 activation.
That's
Because he just had 3 throw cards. It was awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I like Sabertooth. I think Sabertooth actually gets a really bad rap. A lot of people are like, "Wow, Sabertooth is trash. Like, how do I play him? I don't understand. Like, why is Sabertooth even here?" I mean, Wolverine gets the same rap, but I think Sabertooth used to get it way more. When I used to think Sabertooth was the better of Wolverine and Sabertooth. It's just, I think people just don't play him correctly. I think it's because they try to think he's a 4 threat. He should be able to fight other 4 threats. And I think this is not his game. Like, literally play him like you imagine him in the comics. He's just a bully. And he plays exceptionally well at that role, too. It's insane.
Yeah. I think Sacrifice and Face Me are interesting pieces to bring with Sabertooth, too.
I like Face Me. I like Face Me more if they had to attack him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about getting somebody into a position where they can attack somebody else on your team. For what that's worth.
I mean, like, that's a pretty, like, if you, I see what Sam's saying. Like, you pull in someone who's not a big heavy hitter like a black cat who
Yep.
just grabbed an objective, and their choice is to either attack you and let you counter attack, or to not attack you and you're just gonna hit her anyway.
Yeah. I like Sacrifice though. Sacrifice was huge to be able to redirect it. Like back when I was doing the clapback list for X-Force, Sabertooth was a huge member of that, and he made almost every single game. He's a monster. So that's okay. So let me actually sell you on him instead of just telling you how to play him. One really cool model. I actually really like it. It just reminds me of the cartoon. Not gonna lie, like he's one of those ones that just reminds me of the cartoon. Really sick model, great pose. Really cool. And he's got healing factor, another exceptional healing character, which is really big right now. Exceptional healing X-Force is actually pretty good at the moment. Yeah, he's an animal and he's a size 3 and he doesn't really he's like Honey Badger, he just doesn't give a shit. I guess he's just fun to play. Like where else are you gonna get who else is a 4 threat that's a lawn mover? Panther.
Yeah, that's not a fair comparison.
No. I'm just trying
That's
to
a
think.
rough one.
No, I'm just trying to think like how many 4 threats are lawn movers. I don't think there's that many. So you have Panther, and then you have Sabertooth, Gamora. Oh,
There aren't a lot. You're right.
so it's like anyways, like where I'm getting at with this is like in affiliations that he actually like belongs. Being able to bring that lawn mover like is kind of big, especially because 4 threat is almost needed in every single list to round things out.
I think it is just needed.
Yeah,
It's such a good value for points.
yeah. So in affiliation, lawn mover, size 3, has a card that throws himself, exceptional healing, model sick.
The
pretty much all I
model, his little claws cut my finger when I was moving once. So he's a vicious man.
He's a bully. I'm telling you, he's a bully.
Yeah, there's some pointy ass plastic on those fingers, dude. It's tough.
The ones that I will say, those Honey Badger's claws,
your
be
pinky
careful
up.
with those. Those things just break.
Those are way less fragile, or way more fragile. Sabertooth's
Alright.
got some meat behind them on those claws.
Yeah. All right, Hebinator. Again, hey, you just talked in the chat. We got your question here.
Yay.
Running our first local MCP event and want to have a standard amount of terrain for each table. I've averaged the recommended from the AMG site, but as veteran players, what is the amount of terrain you like to see on the table? All right, so this has been a big thing that I've been struggling with across like all the seasons of TTS and like us doing the maps and trying to figure out what's good. Comparing them to in real life tables and like what I see, and after I don't know what, like the entirety of this game, trying to figure out a good balance of terrain. I honestly think the magic number, like it's hard to say like perfect set of terrain, but I think if you're running an event and you keep all of your tables at a variety or a varying difference of somewhere between 28 and 34 is probably the magic numbers. So if you go across like TTS and look at all the maps there, that's what I try to keep them at. There's some outliers, but it gives you a really good spread of maps that are, or tables that are very sparse terrain and then heavy dense terrain. So I think if you keep your average number between 28 and 34, that is like the sweet spot. Don't do them all at like 32 or do them all at 30 because it's like in the middle. Like do them just different, like have one at 28, have one at 34, have one at 30, have one at 31, have one at 32, like anywhere within that range. If it's less than 28, then you're like almost punishing someone for trying to play mags or playing a character that throws. If you're playing over 34, then you're just absolutely booming that character. Those characters that have those big throws end up like just seeming like they're way too strong, and then it brings up the conversations of like, this character was super strong in this game because there was so much terrain, which isn't really a good argument in my opinion, but it's something to consider. Is terrain such a huge piece of this game? Having a nice spread from that 28 to 30, 34, is a really, really good number I have found. Sam, what would you say?
So the total number is actually a really new concept to me. I never even thought about it in terms of total numbers. So when I've done our tables for our events, my approach has been like, what is it, 2 to 4 size 1s, 2 to 6 size 2, 2 to 4 size 3, maybe 2 to 6 size 3, and then like 1 to 2 4s, 0 to 1 5s. And I've pretty much stuck with that. I like a good mix. I like to have a mix where you've got like I rarely put less than 4 size 1s on the tables just because they're so small and they like kind of they more like flesh out the scenery and the setting than they do like actually like serve to do very much. You know, you put a street light on the sidewalk, you're like, yeah, it looks like a sidewalk now.
Yeah.
But then I I I like to see a good mix of terrain, and so like one of the things that we do is we do like a lot of tables that are going to be like on the far end, the high end of those suggestions, or like right in the middle. And then the other thing I do is almost every table is going to like follow that range 2 guideline. So everything's basically got room for a big base to move through without any trouble. But every now and then I do like to spice that up. And like there's a couple tables in the region that aren't the tables so much that we have at our events that are cool tables, but they have some really large pieces or some really awkward pieces. And if you get too many of those on the board, whether I don't care what size you call them, but if you can't walk over it, if you can't stand on it, if you can't place on it, then you've got some issues incoming.
Yeah.
So try to have stuff that you can do. And I think that size 5s are really cool for the game, but at the same time, like when you've got like a sanctum sanctorum or an apartment complex that's like just in the middle of the table, it can be really frustrating to play on.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't trust opponents with dice or that they don't trust me, I hope, but like you throw when you're throwing dice on opposite sides of a size 5 building, it can be like really hard to be like because it's the excitement of the rolling, right? Like as much as it is anything else, where you're like, oh, like what's coming my way, I want to see it. And when you've got to careen your neck around a size 5 apartment complex every time, like it's a little less enjoyable. So
I want to clarify because I didn't even preface mine with what numbers I was talking. When I say like 28 to 34, I mean terrain count. So like I add up all of my size 1s, all my size 2s. Just a preface for anybody listening. That's how I count terrain. To like have a total terrain count. And I would also try to stay within AMG's like guidelines for like how many of each size.
Right.
But
I don't want to walk up to 6 size 5s on a table and be like, yeah, it's got 30 points for the terrain.
I don't even know why I started like counting terrain like that. Like I'm sure like TTS had something to do with that because that's how we did it to begin with. But it's my fault that it was that way. I don't know why I started counting terrain that way, but I just did. I really don't know. I don't really know where we got that from. But they have a follow-up question here in the Twitch chat. Would you advocate for semi-player placed? If that's the case, then to balance the fairness. I don't know if there's a word missing or if I understand that 100%.
So one thing that I haven't actually tried for in-person events is I feel like we all have a tendency to walk up to a table side and then we don't move, even if it may or may not be advantageous to stay there. And we don't ask people to move most of the time either because like, nobody wants to pick up their stuff and see where they're going to stand. So I think that it would be kind of cool to have the player who loses priority, instead of like being like, hey, can we switch sides of the board, to just like basically like take a piece of terrain and put it somewhere else that makes them feel more comfortable with their side of the board.
I think it'd be kind of cool to
I
like
would,
add
I would
to your
love to
rules
place
pack.
my size 4 where I want to put Hulk. That sounds great. Because that's what I would do.
But that's, I mean, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Mean about it.
But what's the difference between that and being able to pick the table side that had the size 4 to begin with?
Well, because sometimes the side 4s are very inconspicuously placed in a far-off corner intentionally, because some people hate fun.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to like. I feel like you'd have to be like, you can swap one piece of terrain with one piece of terrain, like, and it has to like
I'll swap
match.
this size 4 with this barrel.
Players put in terrain where they want to make sides even and not all just big stuff clumped in the middle. Okay, you're fine. Like on a 30-point map, both players getting 15 points worth of stuff to place. I think that takes too much time, especially with how.
Yeah, a lot.
That's my gut too.
So, yeah, I just think it takes way too much time to be able to be like, hey, I place a terrain, you place a terrain, I place a terrain, you place a terrain. It just takes way too much time. There's enough stuff going into this game to set up a game that just seems rough, especially if you're doing like a big event with like 20 plus people. Even if you have 10 plus people, that seems like a nightmare. Doing that for 5 tables, like, it's just a lot of stuff that could go wrong. And then you're relying on people to actually place the terrain in accordance with like whatever event rules you have going on. It's just easier to have pre-staged maps. And I think the best thing I've seen is people like print out a picture of what the map actually looked like, so that way they can put it together after they've thrown everything. That's probably the coolest thing I've seen people do, is just like take a picture of the
kidding.
map and put it right next to it and be like, hey, this is where everything goes. But I think
that everybody plays on the same map all day.
yeah, I just the best thing is probably just like as an event organizer, just try and make the maps interesting, fun, tell a story, and like a fair map. And the best way you could do that is just have varying maps from again like that 28 point to 34 point. I just think that's like the best in my experience of looking at maps from TTS to in real life and comparing. It's just been like the magic number that I've come across personally. Yeah. All right. Hyper Viper, do you have anything you want to touch on that?
No, I think y'all covered it
Okay.
pretty concisely.
Cool. All right. Another one from Draz. Who should be bringing Brace or Indomitable or both or none?
Oh god.
Such a loaded question, Draz.
Oh god.
I don't know,
Brace
Sam.
Sackman
Sam.
myself.
I'm a Brace Space kind of guy.
Brace Space is really cool. I've gotten some mileage out of that now.
Yeah.
I think that Brace is one of the most valuable cards in the game, but it still has some dead matchups. So I think for Brace, you're trying to decide whether or not, like, if you're weak to throws, then it's worth its weight in gold. Personally, my favorite use for Brace is just preventing that one auto damage.
Yeah.
When it's just like, oh, this guy's at 1, this guy's at next to nothing. Ah, crap, I'm gonna lose them both. Ah, Brace, they both live. Hooray!
Yeah.
Blocking size 4 terrain throws is huge. And so I think the Brace just has like almost too much value to leave home. I will never fault someone for bringing Brace in their 10. Indomitable, I think, is a lot more of a niche card where I think that Do You Know Who I Am is that there's no better use of Indomitable than a Do You Know Who I Am throw. And other than that, I'm not sure who should be bringing Indomitable, but I think that it belongs in maybe more rosters, like tall rosters, elite rosters.
I gotta stop you real quick. I probably should have looked it up first. Mental Domination, is that does Indom stop the advance from Mental Domination?
It's an advance.
It's an advance.
Okay, I haven't played Indom in a while, so I couldn't remember if it did advances. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
That card rules.
So Indom stops a push or a throw. So
Yeah.
like I played against a convocation roster that was running Brace and Indomitable, and like that's a place where I don't hate it there, but I don't think that Indomitable has a lot of value unless you've got a piece that you really don't want to have moved. It can stop the auto damage just like Brace for Impact can, because you're just gonna say like, no, I'm not gonna move with that guy. But the 2 power cost, I don't know. I'm looking at it I look at Indomitable as a card that is constantly like on the outside of my bubble right now because it's on the restricted list, so it just doesn't. There's always something else I want to take instead, but it's good.
I think the fact that Indom got restricted is big. I think if it wasn't restricted, everybody would be taking it because it's just got so much value. But the fact that it is restricted makes that value more questionable. If I had to pick like between Brace, Indom, both or none, I don't think I ever actually take both. I don't care what list I'm playing personally. I don't think I ever take both because there will be one matchup where you now have 2 dead cards.
Right.
And I think, like Sam said, Brace just has so much value. It's so hard to not bring it in your 10. And I would say Brace over Indom because of the fact that it's stopping that 1 damage. Indom, it's not going to stop someone throwing something into you, which could still kill you.
So, like Indom, I feel like has more value in affiliations where you don't have access to something like a Orb of Agamotto or Rainbow Bridge or like other like out of activation like moves or places or things that can get you back into the fight. So like it doesn't really matter if you got pushed or thrown away so much. But I agree. I don't think that bringing both of them is like it's too risky. If there's no throws on the table, if there's only 1 throw on the table, like are you gonna do it twice? I mean, he did. He used them both in the game that we played, so I get it. But
yeah, I was just my 2 cents would be like I would say Brace over Indom, probably never both, and probably at least one of them. They're really strong cards unless you have a game plan and you have like I think Asgard doesn't really need either of them. Brace is still super
Mhm.
strong, but I don't think Asgard necessarily needs Brace because most of their defense is like 4. They're pretty chunky people. If you need to, you can Odin's Blessing. It's a more expensive version of Brace
Yeah.
in that
And
aspect.
you're throwing a lot of those size 4 terrain buildings as well.
Yeah. So
And
it's
now
like,
you've got Meet My Executioner too. So
Yeah,
I mean, they've got
so-
like their own
so I think
budget brace.
Asgard is a way that you don't actually need Brace, but they're probably one of the very few affiliations that I don't think needs Brace. Maybe Mag's Brotherhood doesn't need it because he's probably throwing everything anyways. But it's very, very, very
Yeah.
few situations where I would say none.
I could see like a double Hulks list wanting to run those, but I still think you'd want to run Patch Up instead of one of those just
I
for the
agree.
extra health.
Yeah. All right, cool. Hyper, you got anything you want to add to that?
Especially right now with the restricted list looking the way it is, I think Brace is a borderline must take. That card is insane. There are not even a lot, but there are plenty of teams that don't run big throws. Like Shadowlands Daredevil is probably the most prominent, and that list typically doesn't have a ton of throws. But if you run it the way I do, and you have like Kingpin and Juggernaut in there, then you're gonna have some throws. And even if it's a dead card for one matchup, do you really want to face off against a Hulk with size or a Magneto without Brace on your side? Because I don't. That would suck.
I've joked with people before about with Brace. Like I'll bring Brace if there's a single throw in your roster. Like, like just because it. I know that when I was playing a lot of Thanos builds, that like Thanos Black Order especially, like the wild throw on Thanos' strike, like when you can brace for impact that, because there's so many times that like I'm just trying to get one damage through. I'm trying to get that wild so that I can throw you into something else, and then I don't even get that.
Yeah.
So
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
No,
Way more
Brace is an
afraid.
insanely good card. It if your opponent's strategy is based around throws in any sort of way, you suddenly have like literally the ultimate Uno reverse card in this game. There is no comparable effect where it just says the damage from this effect does not happen. Even Odin's is you still take 1, right? Brace is just like it nullifies something your opponent can do. When I was playing Sam last season, I was like, all right, well, I have a bunch of not super durable, but still pretty durable characters. I'm going to take 2 cards, which would be Brace and Field Dressing, that just invalidate my opponent's actions. Because that's literally what they do. Field Dressing is much more egregious, I'll admit, but Brace is so damn cheap. Like a good fix for that card, and I hate talking about like card fixes, was making it cost 2 power. Because it costing 1 is just like, it makes throwing characters when Brace on the table have to play so differently. Like when I played a lot of Hulk, which I still do, I love that guy. I try so hard to bait out Brace before I throw that size 4 terrain.
Yeah.
And if your opponent also has size 4 terrain, that's impossible. Or size 4 terrain throws, it's just not going to work out, right?
Right.
Like because size 4 terrain throws 5 auto damage, that's insane. It's a really good effect. So having that be hard to happen is good for both of you. It means that people just can't get blown off the table immediately. So Brace is, in my mind, kind of a necessary evil right now to prevent throws from just being like omnipresent.
So we got willing but no able. I couldn't say that right. Indomitable prevents the throw happening entirely. It's not better in a lot of situations. It is, but it isn't, because it's like it's not going to stop you from taking a size 4 to the face if someone's throwing a building at you. But it's going to stop like Jugs throwing you lawn. It's going to stop them throwing your Hulk or your MODOK into one of your other characters. That's where it's helping you. But it's also like Brace helps you not take the damage. So
It's a narrower scope, right? That's more effective at what it does, whereas Brace is a little bit more versatile, I think.
yeah.
So yeah, they definitely have their uses, and if you are bringing them both, like it's going to be great when you're up against somebody that's got multiple throws that they want to use on your people. So, but the more terrain throws we see being printed on characters, and those are the characters that are getting brought.
Yeah.
I think that brings the Indom stock down a little.
I think that's also, like, if you haven't noticed, there's been less and less characters getting character throws. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
If the bear doesn't have a character throw, I'll be really surprised.
Yeah, because so here's my theory, and this is not really a theory, but you know how the Winter Guard characters are all on the old card thingies? So they were developed a while ago, which means he might have a throw.
I mean, the name a Russian with a throw, right? Omega Red, no throw. Colossus, no person throw.
It would be so in character for the bear to be able to throw people around. It just gotta happen.
It'd be so in character for Colossus to throw people around. But anyways,
Look,
we have
agree
been the
with you.
Rogue Agents. Oh man.
And you're the listeners.
That's why I won't play Colossus, man. I know it makes me sad.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on before we cut out? No.
I wish
No.
Colossus had a throw.
I just make you so sad.
I hate thinking about it because I love Colossus, and it's
Oh,
like,
I
damn,
do.
Rogue is just a million times better right now.
I do too. All right. We have been the Rogue Agents, and you have been the listener. Oh my god, it worked.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort.
In this war, there's no surrender.
He's out of line, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a bear.
I think you're wrong.
Bear.
Which part?
You know, like a bear fight.
You're the only
Like a bear
hero
fight.
in the world.